Hello, gorgeous. Travel with me now back to 1973, where no old broad has dared to go before. To how I looked and how I did my makeup in high school. It's actually the spring of '72. Something happened that changed my life forever. In 1972, February of '72 to be exact, Cabaret opened, and whatever our standard of beauty had been before, our standard of beauty became Sally Bowles, as portrayed by Liza Minnelli. Cabaret is set in 1931, and that became attractive to us, much more so than 1972 had ever been. Over the next 4 months, my friends and I, my best friends, saw Cabaret approximately 18 times. We knew that movie in and out. We quoted it. It was our in-jokes. It was our everything. What good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. That became our mantra. That and divine decadence. So what on earth does all of that have to do with this? Well, I'm going to try to explain it as we go through. What you see me using here is Elizabeth Arden Cream Foundation. It's called Elizabeth Arden Ceramide Ultra Lift and Firm Makeup, SPF 15. The color is Vanilla Shell 02. Back in those days, it would have been Avon. By this point in time, my mother was no longer selling Avon, so I'm not quite sure where I got that Avon. I guess the local Avon lady. And I'm almost certain that's the exact kind I had that I just showed you in that illustration. At any rate, I would dot it all over my face, my bare, clean face. And then I would use moisturizer, put moisturizer on my fingers and blend it in. I don't know where I got that idea. I probably got it from Vogue magazine because I started subscribing when I was 12. And also, I guess, even then I preferred light to medium coverage, really light, basically, coverage. And I've remained consistent my whole life in that. I don't know. I feel like I'm suffocating if I have full coverage on my face. Anyway, so that's what I did, and that's what I'm doing here. The whole influence of Cabaret, I didn't start, wearing false eyelashes, and I didn't start wearing green eyeshadow. For one thing, I had just finally gotten over green eyeshadow. Because, in my junior high school and early high school years, that's all there was. It was that awful blue and green eyeshadow that Maybelline had. So it wasn't the desire to wear green or blue eyeshadow. It was more a matter of freeing one up to do whatever eccentric little thing your heart desired. In my case, as you will see later, it was red eyeshadow. Okay, so anyway, let me talk about the makeup here. So I was blotting it a little bit in an effort to get it to dry a little quicker. As you see there, that's Benetint liquid blush. Back at that time, what I was wearing was a gel rouge. I looked around a lot this week to try to find some gel rouge to recreate this really accurately, but as far as I can tell, there's really nobody making gel rouge right now, or at least nobody I could find in my area. So I figured this would be, the truest thing to what I was wearing back then. Also, let me say, the gel rouge, it came in a little white jar. And I believe it was called rouge. I believe that was right before we started calling it blush, like a year or so before it became blush. And I think it might have been by Bonnie Bell. And that's also what I used for red eyeshadow. It was probably a stupid thing to do. It probably had that dangerous red dye number whatever in it, but I was careful, and that's what I used for my red eyeshadow. And this is about how I did it. I didn't go overboard. It was, started down in the apple of the cheeks and then, went up behind my ears, up toward my ears. Next comes the powder. The powder at that time would have been applied with a puff, as you see me doing now. And I can't honestly remember. It would have been a drugstore brand. By the way, at that point in time, other than the Avon foundation, all my cosmetics were from the drugstore. We lived 2 blocks from the nearest drugstore. That's where my allowance went. I did not drive in high school. I got my driver's permit summer after high school. And also my mother did not drive. And so she wasn't really in a position to be taking me to the mall. So it's possible that by this time there were more sophisticated colors of eyeshadow and better cosmetics being sold, but I didn't really have an opportunity to get those till probably my time in Austin at University of Texas, when I could easily get to little boutiques and to malls. So anyway, I believe at that time my powder was by CoverGirl. I remember it was a white compact with a little silver ring around the outside, but I couldn't swear to that. I just know it was a drugstore brand. Okay, so this is Anastasia brow powder, and it's brow powder duo, and the color is soft brown. What I would have been wearing at the time would have been Maybelline Ultra Brow, and it's just the one you just saw there. I mean, that's the exact one I had at the time, and I used it for years. I'm not sure I ever hit pan on it. I think eventually I dropped it and broke it and bought another one. And used it for years and dropped it and broke it, and then bought another one by Elizabeth Arden, and used that for years and years and years. And then I tried some pencils here and there and was never satisfied. And so finally I bought some Tarte, and I have this Anastasia, and I would say I like them both equally. So I don't know if this is a true example of, what you like and get used to first is what you like forever. I am possibly the most unfickle person I know. I don't mean in terms of brands, but in terms of the types of products. Sometimes brands too, when I find something I really like. Take, for example, my Dr. Bronner soap. That's my body wash. I just, I keep trying these other things, and I keep telling them, bye-bye, you're not working, you'll be a hand soap for a while. Okay, I believe next we're going to, yes, eyeliner. What you see here is a little Sonia Kashuk. It's kind of a little palette with different colors of eyeliner. It's called Lay It on the Line eyeliner palette. Back at that time, though, it would have been Maybelline Ultraliner, the exact one you see right here. Likewise with that, I used it for years. I'm not sure I ever hit pan. Eventually, it broke or something. But it's interesting the way I did my liner. I mean, as a kid playing with liner, I'd used the Maybelline liquid liner that came in a little bottle, and it had a brush, and you just couldn't get as thin enough line as I wanted, and then also it's very shiny. So I love this, and also this was available in brown. And so what I do was I get it very, very dark and do a line right up against my lashes, and then I dip the brush in the water again and kind of let it feather out at the top so that up against the lashes it stayed really dark, but toward the top it just kind of almost looked like a thin line of brown eyeshadow. And I honestly can't say how I arrived at that, but I truly loved that look. And I guess I still do when I use eyeliner, and that's why I was so happy to find this Sonia Kashuk. I mean, likewise with this, I used the Maybelline, you know, for a couple of years, and then finally, I think Chanel started making a cake liner again, and then I did finally hit pan on, and then I found this Sonia Kashuk, and this is great because this is cruelty-free. So I'll be sticking with this one. Anyway, hopefully in a minute I'll get my face away from the mirror. I just had to do the mirror on some of this, y'all. Trying to do this in the viewfinder is just near impossible. You know, I'm blind. Duh, I wear glasses. So I apologize for that. I think I might show you, come up close, yeah, and show you how it looks. I hope you can see that effect I'm talking about of how it's dark down close to the lash and then fades out. Also, I'm wearing black because black was my favorite color in high school. I wore black most of the time. Also, my hair was straight as a board, just like you see it here. I went after it a little bit with the straightening iron thingy, and because of the way it's cut right now, it didn't really work. But anyway, you get the idea. Okay, so instead of foolishly using my blush or rouge again for the red eyeshadow, I actually have some red eyeshadow, and I don't do it this way now. I'm an old broad, but I do sometimes you know, do little highlights at the corners. But I'm going to show you the full-on thing I did back in those days. First, I'm using a NYX Primal Colors, and the color is Hot Red PC07. And that turned out not to be quite as vibrant as I liked. So after that, I went in with this other one, which is Sugar Pill, and it's like limited edition pressed eyeshadow. And it's so funny because the name, it's like it's just a profanity. It's like a @ symbol, then a pound sign, then a dollar sign, then a percentage sign, and an exclamation point. And that seemed, the color pigmentation was a little better and also had a little shine. The reason I went for red, a couple of reasons. I was so sick of the blue and the green. I personally didn't have access to brown. But the main reason was the liberating thing that Cabaret had done. And also, in my senior year, I went to speech tournaments a lot all through high school. And I had a duet acting partner, and he and I did a scene from Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, in which I played Martha. And Martha's a very fiery character. And I think I just kind of wanted to draw a little attention to myself. And also, the selection of dresses that I had that I wore to speech tournaments when we did this particular duet act did have a lot of reds and maroons, and I was kind of trying to pick up the dress. So I know it's eccentric, but oddly enough, I don't know, I didn't get a lot of people looking at me funny. Or if so, I was just so, this is kind of the story of my life. I'm so absorbed in my friends and things going on around me. If people are talking about me, I generally miss it. That's probably why I've managed to stay overweight much of my life. If people are talking about me behind my back, I am just totally unaware of it and don't really care. Okay, next is mascara, and back in those days it would have been probably Maybelline Great Lash, and I don't have any of that, so I'm using one of the last two Maybellines in my arsenal, which is Maybelline the Falsies Volume Express. This is one I'm trying to use up and not repurchase because it's not cruelty-free, and this is horrible. It's very clumpy. I don't care for it, so I'm not going to be sorry to see it go, really. But I wanted to kind of stay true to the old days and use a Maybelline product, and I did have one left. And you'll notice I did not in those days put liner on my lower lid. I don't think I started doing that till probably University of Texas. And that would have been the time I probably started using pencil eyeliner too. And I would have probably smudged it out just like I do these days. But anyway, but I did put mascara on my lower lashes. You notice it took a lot less products to do this than we do nowadays. You know, there's like no primer, no concealer, no eyelid primer, no under eye setting powder. It was a lot simpler look back in those days. No lip liner. But, I don't know, time marches on, and I think we put on a lot more makeup nowadays in an effort to look a lot more natural. And I guess there's probably nothing wrong with that. I've enjoyed the entire ride, I've got to tell you. That's a little eccentric, yeah, but that's me. Let me also point out, in those days, I didn't have hooded lids, so this looked a lot better on me than it does now. Okay, I'm using a Revlon, let's see, Revlon Color Burst Lip Butter 053 Sorbet. And what I wore back at that time, I think I had 2 tubes of lipstick, one of them being a Revlon. It was in a green tube that had little white kind of ivy crawling all over it, and it was a red balm. And I thought, I liked the look of that. It was not quite so intense, and I thought that was better with all the action going on the eyes. Anyway, that's it. Divine Decadence, babe. Hope you liked it. Bye.